Hello, all. The Irrational Skeptic here, and today I'm going to be doing a video on the sensors and intuitives in the MBTI. I think this is an important classification in the whole theory, just as important as the introversion and extroversion dichotomies, or the judging and perceiving scales. And the people that are going to be in this, or the types that are going to be in the sensor versus intuitives, obviously are the ES, XX, ISXX, ENXX, and INXX. That covers about all the types. So, yeah, within the MBTI, there are many ways to categorize the types. The most and famous is by looking at the 16 types. What I'd like to do is zoom out a little more during this video. That is, I would like to take a look at sensing and intuitive preferences because it's an important way to look at it. And what I have come to find is that some research I've seen scores intuitives as having a higher IQ. So you'll see that ENTJs, INTJs, INTPs, ENTPs tend to be on the higher scale of IQ, and then it goes downwards from there to the other thinking types and mostly transforms into the feeling types. Unsurprisingly, the NFs end up also scoring a little bit higher as well. But I'm just mentioning this because in recent days, IQ has become an important factor in which we categorize people with higher than normal mental processes. And just to point out that overall intuitives exist less in a population in the whole world. And the world is made up mostly of sensors. And I've come to realize through the lens of personality that intelligence can be quantifiable, but detecting its intensity requires more than just an IQ test. I think the IQ test is highly biased towards intuitives. This does not mean that the IQ test is bad. I just mean that it records things that some personality types prefer to do. These are things they naturally are more attuned to, but it does not say that other types cannot also have high IQ and pass these tests with higher scores. So it does measure something independently, I will say, but it also is leaning towards the more abstract types, just to say. And yeah, there is a bit of reading comprehension there, but it's all still biased towards intuitives generally. But that's a topic for another day. You will surely start detecting my problems with the test in general as I come to talk about these types. And I think the main difference in how the intuitive operates is that they are highly abstract processors of information. Their attention is attuned to the unseen or things that will normally fly over others' heads. Of course, depending on whether one is a dominant intuitive or an auxiliary will actually matter. A dominant user of this function is more or less immersed in a world full of symbolism and patterns. They skip over information they find irrelevant to jump towards an explanation. They could be known as generalists, but we shouldn't doubt the veracity of specific claims that this type of processing can make. This again is a matter of ingenuity and a genius of a particular person. So, the auxiliary intuitive will have great command over intuitive information, but it will be subject to their dominant function. This means that they will be more highly selective on what parts of their intuition they share, restricted by their dominant way of being. So even if they are able to perceive several kinds of tangential points of information with varying subjects, they will pull the reins in by reframing it in a more true to their own nature or true to their own form. Sensors, on the other hand, are great arbiters of the details of what happens in the real world. They pay attention to concrete details, and these are the metrics by which they use to perceive or judge the world. The introverted sensor records down to the detail the sensations experienced through the five senses. They internalize these sensations and are able to reproduce figures based on information. The extroverted sensors are able to recognize information change in real time and act upon the information at the rate of which it changes. This makes them very quick actors in times of turbulence or change. They can improvise very quickly. You find these dominant types mostly in sports or activities which require people to act quickly and think on their feet. You see the phrase thinking on your feet is quite the literal sense of thinking with your kinesiology. Your movements are highly accurate and the precision can be akin to having a great idea. Just like the intuitive, the auxiliary sensor will subject their information to other methods of information processing. A sensor that is an introverted thinking dominant will tend to look in the information they gather to find tidbits of information which apply to a logical framework. For example, the ISTP is able to look out at the world of fashion and spot trends and where fashion is going. This is just one example. This is because they suck in all visual aesthetics of the world and build logical models that flow in real time. This can make them trendsetters because they catch the wave before anyone even knows it exists. I would like to end the video here. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If I have characterized the sensors and the intuitives correctly, as I mentioned before, I still believe that IQ tests are biased towards intuitives, but we do live in a world which some of the greatest leaps are done in intuitive spurts. Also, the low population of intuitives in general can give the appearance of high demand for a quality that is not easily found, just like gold. But like all things, these are mostly appearances. Although I like the importance of introducing new theories and advancing human understanding, I think we should be aware of the limitations of characterizing intelligence as only being IQ. I think that if we were able to be more creative, we could devise tests to find a distribution of intelligence within ESTPs or ESFPs, for example, when it comes to their own favored information. And that will be all for now. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the topic of sensors and intuitives, what you think really differentiates them the most. And that will be it for now. The Irrational Skeptic signing off.